Right, good evening.
Good evening.
If you have a mobile, again, if you'd like to put it on silent, please. Thanks very much.
Yes.
Right, welcome back to Tony Topping with Extraterrestrials and the German Military. Tony's interest in UFOs has led to strange and sometimes frightening scenarios. He's been electronically stalked and followed by quasi-official characters. In an ongoing effort to seek the reasons for these intrusions, his research has led, in a roundabout sort of way, towards the German military and their involvement with possible extraterrestrials. Please welcome Tony Topping.
Hello everyone. If I said the word DVD to you, would anybody know what I meant by that term? And I don't mean like the CD or the... would anybody know what I meant by that term at all?
Yeah, Russian intelligence.
Near enough, yeah, near enough. This is a story, and it's an honour, by the way, to return to St Anne's. I always find that some people tell me I'm the UK's most underrated speaker because you won't see me at the big UFO conferences, but you will see me at all the small venues, and you will see me at people's houses, which seems to be a good thing that they do. People arrange stuff there at the houses. We have a little gathering and seem to go down a storm there. And my experiences are extreme paranormal experiences. Some people say, do I expect people to believe me? I don't expect anything of anyone. What I'm telling you is a story that is kind of like myself, trying to seek the reasons why. There's a cost to this information that I'm delivering to you tonight. I'm lucky to be alive. My life was threatened 4 years ago, or about 3 years ago, which I'll go into, and I'm a man who doesn't know why. So we could put across all that screen there with a question mark, why with a question mark, which is what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. Even this week alone, there's been some extraordinary goings on. It's made me unwell these past 2 weeks. I'm a carer for my mother, and I've got all this going on. It's grossly unfair. And other contact experiences across the UK, contact with the people behind the UFOs, report also strange goings on. I'm going to go into it quite deeply, and what I did is I give a talk for the UFO Academy, which was filmed by the BBC One show, of all people, to come and film me, and we ended up, it was very interesting with them, and that was fine, but then my phone number was given out, mysteriously given out. I don't know how the hell it got given out, but I started getting phone calls, and this is the story about the talk I gave and the call that I received from a man who claimed to be from German Defence Intelligence, or BND, possibly. He was a panicked man. This is my story about it all. And I've enhanced the talk for New Horizons because when I come here, kind of like this in September at New Horizons and speak, with great thanks to the organisers, I find that St Anne's is like my gauge, my barometer, and I'll go into the next year with kind of like this material and enhance it. And you're such a friendly crowd, and it's an honour to speak to you, and I always get good feedback, and maybe pointers, maybe to tweak this and tweak that, you know, and get it right, which is what it's all about. And it developed, my experiences, for those of you who don't know me, developed into a 40-year journey. That's typical of a helicopter flying over me, an unmarked helicopter, bristling with antenna gear. The story behind that is an AS555 helicopter, for those who don't know me. And that helicopter came flying over me at the height of some very strange goings on with UFOs. Here's one still taken by Jason Gleaves from UFO Only, who does a lot of help and assistance with my image analysis. But we're not going to go down the image route tonight. We're going to go down the cost of my experiences, where it led to, how I collided with something that I didn't know. It can get quite hair-raising, but I want you to know that there's a bright future ahead. And I want you to know that I'm more worldly wiser, and it certainly matures you. It certainly matures you as a man. And as we can see, that's a triangular shaped craft there, and that's a small object coming in. And what's happened is, the small object has come in from the left, rotated around 360 degrees around that object, and flown off at speed to the right, in a demonstration which is constant of aerodynamic technology that we don't possess, or rather, we do possess, but it's not in the public domain. It points to something, anyway, is the theme. And I've been on radio, I've been on TV, I've had my moments where they've tried to make me look an idiot, but on the whole, pretty good, really. So that's me. And My first vision was with Lord Ganesha at age 2. That was my first vision. Now, the cost of this has been interesting because you're stalked with exhaustion. I was recently ill. I've got something wrong going on here. This strip, if I point it in that direction, will communicate with the aliens, by the way. But no, seriously, there's been a cost, and I've recently been quite unwell with it all because I just cannot communicate to you the cost of it and the society that goes by smiling and waving at you and your fellow UFO researchers, not you guys, but fellow UFO researchers who are well known, who just nutter, smile and wave at you. Not that they think you're a nutter or I am a nutter, but you get that impression. It's a struggle to scream at the world and go, this is what's going on, please listen to me. And the world actually, in a way, does listen. You guys are listening to me tonight. It's a great thing. At age 2 was my first vision of Lord Ganesh. The extraterrestrial contact experience that I had began at age 2 with my father putting me in a cot and thundering through the wall was something. At age 2, it's a lot to handle, of like that. Thundering through the wall. I'm screaming at my father, saying, look at that, Dad. I'm pointing. My dad's saying, there's nothing wrong there, son. There's nothing to see, son. I bit my lip. I'm bleeding everywhere. But actually, if we look through ancient history, that aside, we discover that there is a rumour that says, or rather research would suggest, that Lord Ganesh is actually wearing a flight hose. It's actually a hose. It's actually flight. He's actually a pilot's hose. And that's where they think, as a matter of interest, that the Indians, or rather the Indian Sanskrit literature and the Hindu literatures got this from. That there's a suspicion that there's a likeness between that as an extraterrestrial and him as a pilot. If you look at some of the Sanskrit and Vedic texts, you will discover that there is indeed the presence of these craft and this strange technology, because the Germans were no slow coach in reaching that conclusion either. So that was my first vision. And what we find is that I was filmed by the One Show at the UFO Academy, and the lecture I'm going to give is enhanced. It's a lecture I gave at UFO Academy, but I've enhanced it for you, which then resulted in the phone call. Now, what happened is, when they came to film me, they said to me, right, Tony, go through this, go through that. Okay, what's this, plasma UFO? So I said, well, it's to do with plasma UFOs. That's actually a UFO taken over Holy Island at Berwick. I'm just going in to give a talk. The commentator or presenter said, well, that's a bit convenient. You're going in to give a talk, and it appears, ha, ha, ha. No, it wasn't for the fact that Jason from the UFO only, he did enhanced analysis, and I don't know how the hell he picked it up, but he saw it, and he said, look at that. That's a plasma UFO. Now, what happened is I said, well, I need to go through this data with you of Project Hesdalen at Norway, I said to the team. Well, we don't really know if we can put that in. I'm just not sure. And Project Hesdalen is, of course, up in Norway, where they had strange lights coming in exactly like that. And the findings of Hesdalen were very interesting. In fact, it was the findings of this guy. I'm not accusing the BBC One Show, by the way, of any corruption. I just find that I'm up against a mindset, up against a paradigm that doesn't want to know. And these are the emissions. I said, well, this guy, Teredari Miso, from the Chile Italian University, I think it's Italian University, his findings are essential to be included in this segment, I said to them, which his conclusions are 95% are thermal plasma, 5% are solid objects, and he would suggest that they are from a higher dimension. Very important, a higher dimension. Well, we don't really want to put that in. In fact, they didn't really want to put this in either. Further observational conclusions from this Italian physicist astrophysicist who put himself on the line. These objects that were flying around in Norway, which were little dots of light like this, showed all these component elements to them. That one there, for example, lights dim when a plane goes near. If they're intelligent, who is behind it, was the question he was asking. He put himself on the line on the 5% issue of UFOs being intelligently plasma controlled. Put himself on the line about it. And it's very important because humanity was being shown something. There is an opposite polarity to this, a very dodgy opposite polarity, as I discovered. But they didn't want that in the broadcast. And I was very disappointed with that, because you're up against a paradigm that is war, more war, North Korea, America, it goes on and on and on. But they didn't want that in. And what happened to me, leading up to our narrative where we collide into Germany, What happened to me in 2016 was NATO did an assessment, a UFO assessment, so it is rumoured, by a guy called Robert Dean. And in the early days, in the very early days, in about, 95, 96, I don't know, I phoned NATO headquarters and I said, look, have you got a document here called the assessment? The woman on the other end is going, bonjour. I thought, oh dear, she obviously doesn't speak English. So I thought to myself, oh, well, never mind. And she said, oh, we have nothing called the assessment here. And then all kinds of things happened. The phone started to ring strangely. It was quite bizarre. But this is what happened in 2016. I rang my local council, picks up the phone. Suddenly I hear an American woman on the other end going, oh, as if the phone had been picked up and she'd heard me and I wasn't supposed to be heard. Next minute I know, I dialed the council number. Next minute I know, this guy from Germany comes on the phone, speaking fluent German to me. And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? I said, sorry pal, wrong number, thought it very odd, and we'll leave it at that. Just thought it odd. We'll leave it at that until we go further down the presentation. But you see, there's another paradigm out there, a very mysterious paradigm out there actually, which says that extraterrestrials in our media doesn't exist. But when you get to my game, where you're a contact experiencer, when you've had interaction with them, you make no apology about that. But when you get to my level, you suddenly discover that there is an opposite paradigm. There is something very sinister going on. And contact experiencers within the UK are being. This is one of these mysterious black operational badges that circulate, courtesy of my good friend Sam Smith, who also has written an interesting book on Amazon about these badges. This is one of them called Emerging Technologies, and as you can see, there is a triangle there flying upwards, and it says Emerging Technologies. And these mysterious black operational insignias keep coming up. And further down the narrative, as I go through this presentation, Britain even had one in 1946 under something called Operation Tabalan, which we'll take a look at, which is linked to Germany. There was also, when just refer to my notes here, when my phone number was given out, I had this guy ring me from Germany. It was quite comical, I'll explain later. But then we had a guy, my mobile came up again. I'm sat in the pub. Mobile comes up again. France, it says on my phone. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on here? Hello, I goes, thinking, I don't know why I said that. I should have blocked the call. The caller goes, hello, darling, I'm looking for Pam. Is she there? Just like that. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I am under surveillance here, because that's an innocent wrong number phone call. But not in my game, it isn't. There's a possibility that they may have been doing something with software on the phone to try and log a signature cluster, i.e. in mind control when you're speaking, as I will be now speaking to you. My brain is emitting all kinds of signals and frequencies, and they're trying to measure it. Or there's a possibility that there is a glimpse that an esoteric secret society of some description, rather than an intelligence services, has my experiences under observation. But it's this bit in the phone number here. I don't know, Alex, whether you could, because this is the actual phone number, maybe just blank these numbers out apart from them two. Would that be all right? Yeah. So it's the actual phone number. It's France. But it's that bit there. Because I've been under surveillance, because I've had all kinds of crazy stuff happen to me, including, for example, sat in a pub and some foreign woman turning to me and just going, see you later, Anthony, and walking off. You think, what the hell's going on? Because you are under surveillance. In fact, I'm a targeted individual and went through hell with the mind control side of it, which I'll leave for now. But basically it's this. I'm thinking to myself, if it's the people that have been up to no good, then there'll be a signature, an esoteric signature in the phone number, which there was there, 4633. When you get to know it like you do, when you've had it for years, you think to yourself, oh, there's a signal here. 4633 Genesis, 4633 Genesis reads,